This bar chart compares the casualties of World War I against a Chinese civil war that ended 50 years earlier. That conflict, the Taiping Rebellion, left between 20 and 30 million people dead. Hong Xiuquan, an impoverished village teacher who failed his civil service exams 4 times, started the uprising after convincing himself he was the literal younger brother of Jesus Christ. He found an audience in a fracturing Qing dynasty. Weakened by the opium wars and systemic corruption, the government watched as severe famines swept through the southern provinces, leaving millions of people desperate. This total breakdown of the imperial social contract created a massive population of marginalized peasants who were willing to follow a radical revolutionary savior. In 1837, Hong failed the imperial civil service exam for the 3rd time. The psychological toll was immediate. He fell into a delirium that lasted for weeks. While bedridden, he hallucinated a journey to heaven, where a golden-bearded old man and an elder brother gave him a sword and commanded him to slay demons. Years later, Hong read a translated Protestant missionary pamphlet. Using those texts as a key, he identified the figures from his fever dream as God the Father and Jesus Christ, and himself as the divine second son. Hong gave this theology a sharp political edge. He identified the ruling Manchu Qing dynasty as the literal demons he was sent to eradicate. He began preaching in the mountains of Guangxi, attracting thousands of marginalized Hakka peasants to his God-worshipping society. When local Qing authorities tried to suppress the group, the worshippers armed themselves, turning farm tools into weapons. By 1851, Hong officially proclaimed the establishment of the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom. The fusion of Christian millenarian theology and raw economic desperation turned a localized religious group into a nation-spanning revolutionary army. The Taiping army swept through southern China with high discipline, capturing the ancient capital of Nanjing in 1853. They renamed the city Tianjin, or Heavenly Capital, and immediately rolled out a new constitution called the Land System of the Heavenly Dynasty. This diagram shows their economic model. Private property was abolished. All land was classified into 9 grades, with all surplus harvest funneled into a communal treasury and distributed perfectly equally based on family size. They outlawed foot binding, opened civil service exams to women, and deployed female combat units. In its legal framework, the Taiping state became the most radically egalitarian society in the 19th century, erasing centuries of strict ancient Confucian hierarchy. But living in this heavenly kingdom required absolute asceticism. Commoners were strictly segregated by gender. Husbands and wives were forbidden from living together and faced the death penalty for using opium or gambling. The Taiping leadership did not share these sacrifices. Hong and his subordinate kings lived in opulent palaces and hoarded the wealth they took from the public granaries. While the rank and file faced execution for breaking moral laws, Hong Xiuquan maintained a personal harem of 88 concubines. This massive divergence between propaganda and tyrannical reality guaranteed that the Heavenly Kingdom would eventually consume itself from the inside out. In 1856, paranoia within the leadership led to the Tianjin incident, a bloody internal purge that killed thousands of veteran Taiping officers and permanently slowed their military advance. The Qing dynasty responded by abandoning their failing regular army and outsourcing the war to the local gentry. They funded fierce provincial militias, led by commanders like Li Hengcheng, who were personally loyal to their home regions. Western powers, protective of their trade interests and the opium market, eventually backed the Qing. They supplied and led troops against the rebels, utilizing mercenaries like Frederick Townsend Ward. This illustration shows the modernized forces that resulted. The ever-victorious army used Western artillery and infantry tactics to consistently defeat the larger rebel forces. By 1864, these disciplined joint forces had Nanjing completely surrounded, cutting off all Taiping supply lines. It took the combination of autonomous Chinese warlords and modern Western military technology to finally halt the Taiping war machine. As the walls were breached in July 1864, Hong poisoned himself. The ensuing massacre by Qing forces killed over 100,000 people inside the city. The rebellion ended, but it broke the central authority of the Qing dynasty. To survive, the court had surrendered its monopoly on military force to the provincial leaders who defeated the rebels. Beyond the 30 million deaths, the conflict broke the central government's authority over its own provinces. This decentralization created the regional power vacuum that characterized the warlord era and led to the final collapse of the Qing dynasty.